Councillor Wood. I declare the meeting open, and in being here we are recording under our live stream policy, so by being in the audience you are agreeing to being part of the live streaming. I would like to call upon Councillor Barry Winmar to present the Welcome to Country.
Thank you, Worship. I begin by acknowledging my elders past and present and acknowledge we meet on the traditional lands of Noongar people. Ngalak yini kurang kurang ngalak noich niji Noongar boja. Noongar mort jerpan yini niji ngalak kwabarak Noongar boja kurang. From the beginning of time to the end, this is Noongar country. Noongar people have been graceful keepers of our nation for many, many years. Jeni encouraging jerpan niji wern Noongar boja ngala maya maya borda. Look, listen, understand, and embrace all the elements of Noongar country, because it is forever our home. Kai wanju ngan ko jerpa niji Noongar boja dajli wangini Noongar boja wanju wanju. Hello and welcome. My heart is happy as we're gathered here on Noongar country tonight. Welcome.
Thank you, and I'd like to acknowledge that we meet here on the land of the Noongar people and pay our respects to elders past, present and future emerging leaders. And I'd like to call upon, who have we got to read the dedication? Councillor Sherilyn Wood.
May we, the elected members of the City of Kwinana, have the wisdom to consider all matters before us with due consideration, integrity and respect for the Council Chamber. May the decisions made be in good faith and always in the best interest of the greater Kwinana community that we serve.
Thank you. And it's lovely to see some members of the public in the audience, being that this is the last council meeting for the council of 2023. So it's good to have some attendance. Item 4, there are no leaves of absence. Good to see a full contingent. Public question time. I don't believe any any questions have been provided. There is nothing in item 6.1, 6.2 or 6.3. Item 7, 7.1, minutes, confirmation of the minutes of our ordinary council meeting held on the 27th of September. Are there any questions in relation to those minutes? If not, do we have a mover? Move Deputy Mayor, seconded to Councillor Winmar. Neither councillor wish to speak those minutes. Thank you. Put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Do we have any declarations of interest? Nil. Requests for leave of absence? Nil. There's nothing on item 10, 11. Item 12, recommendations of committees. There are several matters arising from our Audit and Risk Committee. I'm not sure whether we wish to deal with them on block. We've got items 12.3, 12.4, 12.5 and 12.6. I'll just inquire, any of the councillors have any questions arising from any of those items? If not, would somebody like to move that those committee recommendations be moved on block? Moved Councillor D. Wood, seconded Councillor S. Wood. Councillor D. Wood, do you wish to speak on the item?
Although they're very important, sorry I can't set it stand up too well. Everyone knows everything about them.
Sorry. For those listening at home?
For those listening at home, yeah. Even though they're all important things, they've been discussed at great length over the last 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor S. Wood?
No, thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. I shall put it to the vote. Anybody wish to speak against? All in favour? Against? Carried. And I really must say that as a member of the Audit and Risk Committee, there has been a significant amount of work that has been undertaken. And I'd just like to thank the officers and the Audit and Risk Committee members, in particular the independent members who've done a sterling job going through the paperwork and the items, and I'm feeling quite confident from an audit and risk perspective that we're in very good shape here at the City of Kwinana. Thank you. There's nothing on item 13, 14, 15 or 16. Item 17.1 is the consideration of a complaint in relation to the noise from the Hawkeswood Boulevard basketball court. CEO, I understand that we have had a submission from the complainant in relation to asking for this matter to be deferred, given he's unable to come to this meeting. Can you just bring the councillors up to date?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the person referred to in this report, they were contacted and provided a copy of the report and the timing that it was going to go up. They advised that they couldn't make it. They did ask for it to be deferred, which I said that would be a decision of council, but they were provided with the opportunity to make a deputation, which they could just make that in writing and advise that the mayor would read that out. The only point which they wanted to raise really would be the part about the non-rhythmic noise, which is referred to in the report. That's really the only matter that they wanted to bring to council's attention, though.
Thank you. I'm happy to have this matter dealt with by this council, given I think to defer the matter, and there's quite a bit of significant history that the current council is aware of, I think it's unfair for a future council to come in and have to deal with this matter from the outset again. So unless anybody moves to have the matter deferred, and if are there any questions of the officers in relation to the report? Deputy?
Yes, Your Worship. I just wonder if the CEO or the Director could just let us know how many basketball courts there are within the city?
A lot. Put on notice. It's in the report, I understand.
Of the 11 facilities in Your Worship, how many complaints have we received in relation to those 11?
Through you, Your Worship, I'm not aware of any complaints of any of the other basketball courts. And I think the report notes that we have had requests for additional similar facilities in similar proximity to houses.
Okay. Any other questions? We
Sorry, actually, I do have another question, Your Worship. Sorry, I just remembered. When this is somewhat of a will be a long-winded question. When a developer develops some land, what is the first thing, or what do they provide the city by way of the information in the structure plan when it comes to amenities that will be available in those subdivisions?
Through you, Your Worship, the structure plan usually provides the outline of where obviously the development areas would be taking place in terms of residential zones, roads, commercial precincts and open space. So the open space would have been allocated at the time of the structure plan, and at that time would have been subject to more detailed planning in terms of the different aspects of the open space configuration and use.
So I guess my question is, potentially the number one thing that a developer will do, apart from working out where all the blocks are going to go, is work out exactly where the amenity in the park is going to go. So that way when they actually market the product to the community for sale, that they are hanging their hat on the fact that it has this fantastic playground or it has this fantastic walking trail. Is that correct?
Through you, Your Worship, typically they use, as you rightly said, use their open space and their public amenity as well as any community facilities as a way of distinguishing themselves from other competing developments.
Are there any other questions? If not, we have a recommendation. Moved Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Rouse. Deputy Mayor, do you wish to speak on the item?
Just briefly, Your Worship, I've met with the residents of this property who have made the complaint along with yourself and the CEO. So I acknowledge their complaint in relation to this particular facility. I was obviously alluding before in my questions to the Director in that a developer that's wanting to sell land wants to sell the best marketable product to the community. And the number one thing that they would do to start with would be tell you what the amenity is. So in this situation, the amenity would have been quite clear on the plans prior to any of those blocks going on the market. So I guess from my point of view, if you were going to purchase a block in any suburb, and I say this to other people that complain that they've built a house in a street where there's a public housing tenant, that you need to do your due diligence when you purchase your property. The land on the other side of the freeway, that's within the sheep holding area zone. If you've done your due diligence, you will know that that is there. So in this situation, they would have known that the basketball court or some community facilities were there. So unfortunately, in this situation, it's created some issues. And as I alluded to by way of asking some questions about whether there was any other complaints made about any of the other facilities, which there has not. I'm aware of at least 3 other facilities that are much closer to residential housing than this one, and we have not received a single complaint. So I understand why the resident has made the complaint, but I think as far as what the city is providing to that particular community, we need to keep that facility in place, Your Worship.
Councillor Rouse.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I concur with the Deputy Mayor. I think the city has gone, the office has gone above and beyond to investigate this one complaint, to try to alleviate the noise, to try to find additional surfaces, investigation and all that sort of thing. And I just don't think that we can justify the removal of the court based on the public health benefits of the rest of the community as opposed to the one resident making these complaints. So I support the motion, Your Worship.
Thank you. Anybody wish to speak against? I'll put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, item 8, 18.1, change of the title Honorary Freeman to Freedom of the City. Are there any questions in relation to this item? Thank you. Councillor Rouse.
Just one, Your Worship. For those in the gallery and playing along at home, have our existing freemen been consulted in regards to this change of title?
Through you, Madam Chair. Yes, they have been consulted and they're all okay with the change.
Okay, thank you. And the purpose of the change? Bring it up to date.
Through you, Madam Chair. As outlined in the report, it's to bring the title up to date, to modernise it and to recognise the significance of it. But it is to modernise it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have a mover? Moved Councillor Winmar, seconded Deputy Mayor. Councillor Winmar, do you wish to speak on the item?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. In reading the officer's recommendation and the notes supplied with this recommendation, it does acknowledge the future of the city and where we're looking at forward, and also it doesn't diminish the role or the title being placed upon members who are recipients of this award and this acknowledgement. I'd like to also note that the other benefits around increasing the accolades that come with that do not change or diminish in any capacity. And I think as a progressive council moving forward, I support the motion moving forward for the name adaptation and change.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor? Nothing, okay. Anybody wish to speak against? I shall put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Item 18.2 is our monthly financial report for August. Are there any questions on those financials? Good to see that we do have a small surplus. Would somebody like to move the recommendation? Move Councillor Kearney, seconded Councillor D. Wood. Councillor Kearney, do you wish to speak on the item? Councillor Wood. Anybody wish to speak against? I shall put it to the vote. All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay. There's nothing on item 19, 20, 21. Item 22, the final reports from the council. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Your Worship. As is customary for the last meeting before the election, I'm not sure what time the meeting is going to finish, Your Worship, but I'm sure we've got plenty of reports. I would just like to, I guess, as is the case, to thank all the staff, the CEO, the directors for my time while I've been on council. By the time the election hits, I will have been on council for 16 years, 10 years as Deputy Mayor to yourself, Your Worship. And it certainly has been a pleasure, regardless of what happens at the election on the 21st, to serve the community of Kwinana. I would also like to acknowledge Dennis Wood, who is retiring from council after 20 years. Dennis was first elected in 2003 and was Deputy Mayor when I first came onto council, Your Worship. And then, here we go. So a very brief speech, Your Worship. Couple of deep breaths.
Oh, do you want tissues? I've got them here.
Yeah, maybe. So I'd just like to acknowledge that this is the final meeting of Your Worship, 17 years. You leave an extraordinary legacy to the local government, recently announcing that you will vacate the position as councillor at the election, in addition to end your most recent term as mayor. The city is indebted to your service over the years, as you have helped lead significant transformation of the city, quite literally from a town of about 17,000 when you joined council in 1997 into a city in 2012, and which is now home to more than 50,000 people. Kwinana is a fast-growing local government with a unique set of challenges, and you have successfully kept Kwinana first of mind among the state's politicians on the national agenda. Quite fittingly, you were awarded a long and loyal service award from the WA Local Government Association in 2011 for your long legacy in local government, and of course there was more than a decade to follow after this. It goes without saying that you have helped pave the way for many women in local government as the city's first female mayor, then the only woman in the room for some years, yet obviously never afraid of a justified fight displayed when the city threw its support behind residents who did not want to the region to be merged with Coburn in 2015. You are now also its longest serving mayor, and we have been very privileged to have you working as a full-time mayor for quite some time. The awarding of the Order of Australia Medal in June 2019 recognised your service to the community and the economic development of Perth as a member of key boards, committees, organisations, about 24 in fact. Your reach has been far beyond Kwinana's bounds, but you have always used these connections to put Kwinana on the map as the city of trees, the preferred location for the state government's outer harbour plans, the home of some of the world-renowned drainage nets, and of course the arrival of Costco, and you were ever at the ready to call up the likes to talk back radio to defend or promote the city. Mayor Carol Adams, your departure comes 2 years before the end of your term as councillor, but aligns with your prior announcement that you would not run for office of mayor at the next election. On behalf of the council, we would wish you a very best going forward, no doubt travelling and spending time with your family, including your husband Chris, who is retiring from the KIC as well. It is truly the end of an era for the city of Kwinana, but you have helped leave it in a better shape, and we look forward to welcoming a new council at the end of the month. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Wimmer, beat that.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. I too would like to echo the words and sentiments of the Deputy Mayor. Serving the community requires a special person that goes above and beyond just living in a community, being a part of a community, and ensuring that the place that they want to live, work and raise a family is front and centre in the bigger context of the community and the metropolitan and the wider Western Australia. Acknowledging and respecting your commitment and your dedication to the city of Kwinana for an extended period of time, and I'm sure you leave with some fond memories and some challenges that you've set and goals over your time in council. I personally would like to give you my thanks and gratitude for the time I've served with you in the community before I was a councillor, and commend you on your dedication to include everybody in the community as part of Kwinana. Kwinana is one of the most fastest growing and inclusive communities in Western Australia, and it takes a certain type of leader to engender that within a council and the staff and the officers that run this wonderful community that we live in. So on that note, I would like to thank you very much for your service and your service above self and your service to your community, and ensuring that you ride off into the sunset knowing that you have accomplished and achieved above and beyond your duty as mayor and as a councillor. And I'd like to wish you and your family and Chris and your grandkids in the future all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Wood.
But thank you for your service. It's been good having you as a mayor, and well, you've been here a long time, as we both have. I'd like to just point out a couple of things. In 1984, I came home from Albany in a posting down there, and was asked by the boss to participate in a committee in Kwinana, which was the Skillshare Committee. I was on that for 10 years, and I was chairman for, I think, 4. Before I even finished that, I was asked to go on the Kwinana Recreational Development Trust, and I was on that for 10 years. And I ended up being the chairman of that. Then someone talked me into coming on to council, and it was Ken Jackman, who and Mary. God, she's a good talker. They talked me into coming on to council, which has opened my eyes to a lot of things that the council does, and it continues to do. The staff are brilliant. Don't tell them that or they get too big-headed. But they are brilliant. They work hard, and they always work in the best interests of the community. I really don't know what else to say. I'm a little bit sorry that I am leaving, but my health hasn't been the best in the last 4 years, so it was inevitable. Anyway, that's about all I can say. Thank you for the staff, and thanks, Carol, and the rest of the council. Thank you.
Thank you for your service, Councillor Wood. Councillor Rouse.
Thank you, Your Worship. Brief report. On Monday the 18th of September, I chaired the Local Emergency Management Committee meeting. Thankfully, there's no major reports from the agencies in attendance. I was introduced to the new Kwinana Police OIC, so Senior Sergeant Lynn Barber, who's, I think, now just taken a couple of weeks' leave before she really settles in the chair, and she's got some great things planned for the city, so it's wonderful to see. And during the meeting, we conducted a tabletop exercise with a hazardous material incident along Thomas Road, and I'll probably go more of that we'll report back to council maybe about the results of that. On Tuesday the 3rd of October, I presented the opening speech on your behalf, Mayor, at the Callista Bike Skills Track. Wonderful opening, well received by the multitude of children there riding their bikes. A couple of near misses, so I guess it's worthy that we have an educational track within the city of Kwinana now for those children to learn safely to ride the push bikes. And on the Monday the 9th of October, I attended with you and Councillor Barry Wimar at the Bullamara Advisory Group meeting. I'd also like to acknowledge Councillor Dennis Wood on a wonderful career in local government. Well done, mate. Walking off with Luke Shuey and Nick Natanui and Shannon Hearn, fitting end. I won't try to cheer you off after the meeting, if that's okay. But you've done great things with Kwinana, mate, and you should be very proud, and you deserve your rest. So
Thank you.
Well done, mate. And finally, Your Worship, I echo the sentiments of my fellow councillors who have spoken before me, but I'd like to wish you all the happiest of retirements. Your service and commitment to Kwinana over many years on council and as mayor will leave a lasting legacy on this city. Over my past 6 years on council, you've offered me nothing but support, encouragement and valuable advice, and you've inspired me to strive for the best. We may not have always agreed on certain issues along the way, but you never made those differences of opinion personal, and always explain your stance with the utmost professionalism. You've had to take the heat and unfairly copped your share of abuse from certain sectors of our community over the years. And you never let that affect you, or the way you approached your role. You held your head high and always conduct yourself with grace and dignity. Your leadership has made Kwinana one of the highest functioning councils in this state, and it's been an honour to serve on this council with you as Mayor. I know our paths will cross regularly, whether that be on one of your morning walks past my house, or at the Willard Square, where I can add now that you maybe have to wear your tracky dacks and Ugg boots down there.
Never.
And that's if you please. But most likely, I hope our paths cross in the winner's circle at Ascot when you hand me one big, huge trophy. So, Your Worship, Carol, if I may, in this chamber, I'd like to thank you for your friendship you've shown to me, Sharon and my children over the many years, even before my time on council. And the four of us wish you, Chris, and your family all the best for the future.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, goodness me. Michael, Councillor Brown.
First name basis today. Thank you, Your Worship. I'll start with a very brief report. So since our last ordinary council meeting, I also joined fellow councillors at the launch of the Callisto Bike Schools track. Driving past, attending the facility, it seems to be a very popular facility in the city, and I'm sure putting future road users in good stead as they learn their skills with the state-of-the-art facility. I also attended the Summer Sounds event in Honeywood, very well attended, great event, and huge kudos to everyone involved with making that happen, including the city staff. I think in the gallery today we have some attendees of that event who provided some very positive feedback. I'll also take this opportunity to firstly acknowledge Councillor Dennis Wood. It's been great to getting to know you since I joined 2 years ago. You're clearly very passionate about the community in which you live, and I want to thank you for your service to date and wish you all the best for I guess, the next chapter. Mayor Carol Adams, it's a very, very strange feeling that you're stepping away from my living memory. You have been mayor of this city.
You feel old.
So I remember you walking down the street in Homestead Ridge, and we would always point out that's the mayor. I think you've achieved a lot during your time on council as well as while being mayor. You've been a steady hand through a lot of change in this city. You're leaving very big shoes to fill, but at the same time, I think you have set a very strong foundation for the council to come. So yeah, I want to thank you as well for your service, and all the best for the next chapter of your life.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Councillor Sherilyn Wood.
I'll start with my report. So I've performed all those duties required of me, and on Tuesday, 3rd of October, I attended the launch of the children's bike track located on the edge of Callisto Oval. Many children were already enjoying the use of the track. It is an asset to the community, and I'm certain that many children will benefit from learning road rules in a safe environment. This morning I attended the Disability Reference Group along with Councillor Kearney. We discussed many issues, such as making sure that doors to disabled toilets can be easily opened by the users, the possibility for hire of power wheelchair attachments so that wheelchair users at events can easily traverse over grassed areas, plus the possibility of the City of Kwinana working with Disability WA to establish a disability advocacy group. The use of QR codes and acquiring a government grant which is available to cover 1/3 of the cost of purchasing overhead slings for use in disabled toilets. These are just a few of the wide-ranging topics of discussion. Carol, you've served with grace and you've never backed down from difficult issues. You've always held your ground and made thoughtful, careful responses, and I admire you for that. I hope you have a very wonderful retirement, and Chris too, that I've just found out is retiring as well. So I'm sure you'll have a wonderful life after council.
Thank you.
Thank you. It probably will be dull.
Right. All I've got to report was attending the same as Councillor Woods, the Disability and Inclusion meeting today, which was really great. It's always a great one to go to, full of information and see lots of things that we could do if we had a lot of money. I'm so sad that you're retiring, Carol. I know it's good for you, but it would have been nice for me to enjoy 2 more years together. I've known you a long time and very, very much respect you, and yes, it's very sad. But I hope you all enjoy your retirement. I'm sure you would, caravanning. And also to Dennis as well. And thank you both for the service that you've done to Kwinana. I would also like to wish everybody else good luck next week, and I hope we have a great team in the next 2 years that I'm on council. Thank you, everybody.
Can I just please add, I forgot the little section that wished councillors standing for election the best of luck.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for those really kind well wishes to both Councillor Dennis Wood and myself. We have no answers to questions which were taken on notice. Mayoral announcements. I might just have a couple of things to say. In relation to the events, it's been quite quiet the last week or so, but I did attend the photographic competition, and it was really great that Councillor Dennis Wood was one of the judges, and it was a very difficult competition to judge because this year's theme, being the City of Trees, as it was about flowers and trees, of course, and the winners, many of the photographs which will be displayed will be on our annual calendar, which will be released in December. So I was very pleased to be there to hand out the commendations and to announce the winners and sorry, I don't have the names here with me, but the beautiful photographs are on display at the Darius Wells. So if you haven't got anything to do and you're having a coffee, please pop your head in and have a look. So here we go. I'd like to first acknowledge and thank Councillor Dennis Wood, as this, as you know, is your final meeting after a dedicated 20 years on council. Councillor Wood, your life experience and many and varied work roles include blacksmithing on the on the Midland Railway, serving in the Army for 5 years, welding at the Kwinana Nickel Refinery and lecturing, plus of course your various committees and volunteer involvements with Lions and RSL, to mention a few organisations, have been all informed to your decision making at council. You're a familiar face in Kwinana who's always happy to attend events including Santa on the Lolly Run, Santa of course to the Christmas senior citizens luncheons, all with a warm and engaging manner, and you always like to keep a finger on the pulse on this community. You've lived here nearly twice as long as I have and have known the City of Kwinana, and we know the City of Kwinana means a lot to you, and that you're always happy to share stories of how the area has grown and share memories of the regions with our younger folk. Your background recollection on the history of Kwinana has been called upon many times over the past years, and I think you're a walking encyclopedia for our third time lucky. In the past 2 decades, you and I have seen multiple new buildings go up. The Edge Skate Park opening, the award-winning Kwinana Adventure Park, and the Indian Ocean Gateway project becoming the Westport Outer Harbour plan for Kwinana. Thank you very much for your devotion to the city, to Kwinana, to this council, and we wish you all well as you file away the sometimes hefty agendas and enjoy some time to yourself, and even might take in a few IT lessons at the library, though I know you'll remain active in the community on various committees. So please join me in a round of applause for 20 years of fantastic service for councillors. So I suppose I better make some concluding comments of my own departure, as this is also my final meeting, as you know, as Mayor and Councillor. So how do you cram 26 years into 10 minutes? And to be honest, I'm not sure where I start now that I'm about to finish with one foot in the departure lounge. These were for me, actually. Whew. I never thought for a moment back in 1997 that I would be delivering my farewell for council in 2023. In 1997, Kwinana had a population of around 17,000. The freeway stopped at Thomas Road and Bertram was basically market gardens. Quubby was the local icon and we still had the hub, the pub, and I think we still had the tub there. Yes. I was a second-year law student and I couldn't think beyond being a one-term councillor, putting an environmental lens over the council and keeping the ships out of Coburn Sound, the mantra of the Kwinana Watchdog group that I joined shortly after arriving in Kwinana in 1995. How times have changed, and fast forward 2 decades and we're actively encouraging a new port and all that will bring to the region. But I think for tonight, for me, it's one of thank yous and quiet reflection. I've had the absolute privilege to have sat in the big chair for over 17 years as Mayor, and I sincerely thank the many councillors over this time who had faith in me to fulfil this role for such a long time. To my last council, the team of, I suppose, 2023, thank you for your friendship, for your camaraderie and hard work for Kwinana, and also for the laughs along the way, of which we've had a few. And if there's one regret, is that I failed to keep a diary, as I would have probably turned into a bestseller as it has been after it's been published, or I would have been sued for defamation, I'm not sure. Best of luck to Deputy Mayor Feasey, Councillor Sherilyn Wood and Councillor Michael Brown for your quest for re-election to office on the 21st of October. It's also great to see a few of the aspiring candidates who join us tonight, as well as some family and friends, a night of celebration. And as an interested observer, I look forward to the results of the city's first popular elected mayor and wish them well in bringing together their team post-election and steering the strategic direction of Kwinana during their term of office. To the CEOs, executive management and staff who I've worked with over the past 26 years, and particularly the last 17 years, a big thank you very much for your wise counsel, being readily accessible and listening, responding to the elected members' concerns, the numerous councillor requests and points of view, and for making the elected members and the mayor look good or assist us to work around some challenging situations, of which there have been a few. And you can read all about them in my new tell-all novel, Kwinana, Where the Trees Are Always Greener, which I soon be released. For my sins, I have worked with 9 CEOs during my time: Bob Smiley, Frank Edwards, Gary Brennan, Rob Searle, Charlotte Stockwell, Neil Hartley, Joanne Abis, Graham McKenzie and Wayne Jack. They never left because of me, it was just the way things are. Each of them has, and for Wayne will, leave their mark on the city in some way. But one thing I'm particularly proud of is that the town and city has flourished, developed, grown. We have not been the subject of any adverse comment, public inquiry or subject to the dreaded 6PR breakfast show interviews. I thank the CEO and the executive and staff who have worked with the elected members to make the Kwinana the best we can. And I know you've had our backs and you work hard to assist us in that regard, and I thank you for this. I have also worked with wonderful executive assistants: Donna Hawkins, Alison Diamond, Debbie Bridson, Danelle Allery, Sue Logan and now Kirsty Prudy. Not to mention the lovely Alicia and Lindsay. Your assistance have been both invaluable and valued. Thank you. To the many city officers, recording staff, library staff, Jarvis Wells, depot and all the workstations, we are really blessed to have had members who have worked hard for our community, and many of them live in Kwinana, and have responded positively to the numerous requests and inquiries I've made over the years. Thank you. As being only one of 139 mayors or presidents in WA, it really has been a privilege and a unique position to be in, especially the opportunities that have been afforded to me by virtue of this role. Whether it is shovel turning, cake cutting, ribbon cutting, of which there's been a lot along the way, addressing a Federal Senate committee, not to mention the President of the People's Republic of China, meeting Prime Ministers, Premiers, politicians, even the Queen of England, can you believe it? Town hall meetings, especially while we're advocating for the Outer Harbour, even touring a nuclear-powered submarine, and being part of the Metropolitan Redevelopment Authority that oversaw the development of Elizabeth Quay and other landmark projects took my local government experience to a new level. We as council over this period have certainly had challenges, but also enjoyed many successes as we have grown. And I like to think the best is yet to come, and much of the stewardship will be in the hands of the new council and the leadership team. There's probably a few highlights I'd just like to touch upon. I think the opening of the Kwinana and the Wellard train station, and I remember the poor executive officer Andrew Smith, I forgot the mayoral chains, and Alana McTiernan as the minister was stopping at each station along the way. And at Kwinana particularly, sorry, at the Wellard station, we had a band going, and we had all a huge crowd. And all the other mayors have, of course, had their chains on except me, so poor old Andrew had to tear back and grab the chains, and it was a poor man, and it was a wonderful occasion. And I think having the 2 train stations in Kwinana has certainly helped us with our economic development. The fight for amalgamation, we brought the community together. It was a community-led fight. And I think the Premier of the day basically abandoned the amalgamation of local governments in the metropolitan area, because I seem to recall the words were along, well, if you can get people from Kwinana out of bed to vote, then that's it. We'll win it. And it was something that really, really did bring our community together. The Indian Ocean Gateway project, which has now grown to be Westport, the outer harbour, promises to be the state's biggest infrastructure project. Really proud that was kicked off by the City of Kwinana and the Kwinana Industries Council in 2015, and it won't be very long now before we will be feeling the impacts of that. The Darius Wells Library and Resource Centre, that was a fantastic achievement by the council and the officers. We got the largest Lottery West grant. At the time it was around about $11 million, and what that was a great place now, and continues to be a place for the community to meet and to house vital not-for-profit organisations. I think that was a fantastic achievement. And the creation of youth precincts over collective years, the Zone Youth Centre, the Edge Skate Park, the Children's Adventure Park, and more recently the Children's Bike Safety Course. Just fantastic facilities for our young people. And being at the forefront of exponential residential growth and industrial development, especially when you look at the Eastern Residential Corridor, the Wellard Village, Providence, Sunrise, and the decisions in relation to the state's premier industrial area that we are famous for being the host council for. But there's certainly been challenges, and I'll touch upon them. I think one of the toughest jobs I've ever done with Norm Marlborough was judging the baby competition at the Arts Centre. That was one of my very first roles as a new councillor. I will never, ever judge a baby competition again. It's just not worth it. Look, also, seriously, though, the decision to move, the council made to move away from being in the retirement business industry, that was very tough. And having to go over to the Kwinana Retirement Village with our then director, Barbara Powell, and address the staff about the council decision. That was a really very dark time. We received a lot of criticism, but council wasn't in the business of aged care, and we were able to secure a very good aged care provider for our community. Decision to cease the historic Kwinana Festival was a tough one for the council to make, and that was on the back of a community review and feedback. And of course the changes to the Christmas Day lolly run. We still have a lolly run, not on Christmas Day, but it's still something that we can give back to our community for a bit of Christmas cheer. But if anyone doubted the strength of council in looking after its community, it played out during the COVID years. And a challenge that all councils stepped up to and showed why we are the organisation closest to the community. Now the final thank you is reserved for my family, and I said I've got a message here, do not cry, so I won't look at you. To my 2 daughters, they've kept very much behind the scenes over the past 26 years, and I'm sure it's been quite a blessing to have had a different surname than me at times. I know it's not been easy over the years, especially the many times I've not been there to help out, to babysit, to do I've been quite domestically absent in general, and I thank them from the bottom of my heart for their support, tolerance and understanding. Whew. To my wonderful husband Chris, the mayoral handbag, who I met through local government over 20 years ago. We were supposed to be doing a Thelma and Louise and retire at the same time, but it hasn't quite worked out to plan. But at least you won't be subject to the famous frozen dinners a few nights a week now. It will be my turn until you retire in January. So in closing, it has been an amazing time to have been Mayor of the town of Kwinana. There are so many people I know that I've forgotten and so many things that I could have, said. But again, wait for that best-selling novel if I finally get around to it. But it is a time for such positive growth and development and much more to come. Such exciting times ahead for our community, and I look forward to watching the continued success of the city under the new leadership team. So on that note, there are no confidential items to deal with, and for the last time, I declare the meeting closed, and I'll get it right.
Can you wait 1 minute?
Oh no. No pressure. Oh my God, no. Oh no. I came to Kwinana probably about 1993 as a sole parent, so I was probably one of the demographics. The difference is though that I had gone back to university as a mature age student, and I was in my second year as a law degree. And Kwinana was a great place because it was affordable housing, and so I came and lived here with my children, and I always walked my dog, and I always walked around a certain park, and I received a notice from a local watchdog group that the council of the day were going to be changing the zoning on this park, and they were holding a local meeting. I didn't know anyone, I wasn't involved in local politics at all, but I went to this meeting and I must have asked a few questions of the poor town clerk or the CEO at the time, and the group asked if I'd like to join them. I suppose it was a bit of an environmental group, and the next year was the local government elections, suggested to me that I might want to consider joining local council or running for local council, so I did, and it was just an enlightening situation. Site for Friends of the Casuarina Costco. It has over 45,000 members.
City of Kwinana, Mayor Carol Adams here. Now, Carol, why did your council decide to get behind this project?
Well, the Women's Council approached council a few months ago and asked whether we'd consider putting in a purple bench. We welcome the opportunity. We know that domestic violence crosses all boundaries, and is indicative of 54 other communities now have these benches. It is a positive reminder to people that we will not accept domestic violence, and especially not in our community. I wish this wasn't being live streamed anywhere.
So these are just on behalf of council and the staff.
Oh, thank you so much, thank you very much. Oh boy, whew, boy, when I finally depart this earth, we can play that as my eulogy, that'll do. Look, okay, here we go again. There are no confidential items to deal with, and for the last time, I declare the meeting closed at 18:27 and invite the gallery into the council lounge for some light refreshments and Kwinana hospitality and fellowship. Thank you.